Welcome back, gang. It's Deltia from Deltia'sGaming.com, here with another Best in Slot episode, this time testing out Fortified Brass. It's a 4-tray craftable set found in Clockwork City DLC. And I was very skeptical at first of the set, and boy was I wrong. People kept ranting and raving about it, so I want to test it out. And what we're going to do today is compare it to 5 heavy Shacklebreaker, 5 light Fortified Brass. And we're going to see, does the resistance really make that big of a difference, and can you still be tanky and do damage with the set in kind of like a PvP setup fashion. So the heavy armor loadout that we're going to use is this: 5 heavy Shacklebreaker, 2 light Vulcan Scoria, and 5 spinners on dual swords. So 5-2 setup. The Fortified Brass setup, we're going to have 5 light, 1 medium, and 1 heavy. So a 5-1-1 setup, and we're actually still going to use Vulcan Scoria. Spinners dual wield as well. So that's the only changes that we're going to make. Also going to use the Clockwork Citrus Fillet food. So this doesn't go all 3 max stat pools, but it does give us a crap ton of recovery, which is very useful. Alright, before we talk about the stats and comparisons, I want to give you some context in terms of why are people using heavy armor. So what are the advantages? So if you look at the pieces here, obviously physical and spell resistance, so you get more for wearing heavy at a baseline level. Constitution, in my opinion, is one of the best. Increased health recovery, but every time you get hit, based on how much heavy armor you're wearing, you get magic and stamina back. This is the big bonus, in my opinion, is that it allows you to get both stat pools back. So it's not necessarily vital for every single build, but let's say you're playing something that likes to block a lot or dodge and you're a magic build. The 5-piece heavy bonus, even if you wear 7, is really effective and useful. Increases your max health pool. That's actually quite useful as well, so you can spend stats in other pools. Light, medium doesn't have a max stat increase. Increases the magic and stamina from your heavy attacks. That's also very useful, especially ripping out fully charged heavy attacks with a resto staff, a dual wield. It gives you a lot of resources, and you can center your build around that. And then, rapid mending, increasing your healing received by 8%. Notice this isn't a major or a minor buff, so it stacks with those things, so you can actually heal more effectively. So that's the good thing about heavy armor. What are the downsides? Well, if we look at light armor, so you got recovery and reduced cost. This reduced cost is spectacular right now. Essentially, the champion point system doesn't have that anymore. So this makes it even more impactful on your spells. Very useful. Spell ward, spell resistance, that's good. Increase your spell critical rating. This is great offensively and defensively, and you only get this wearing the 5-piece. But really, concentration. Spell penetration of almost 5,000 is the equivalent to a lot of spell damage. But the 5-piece here is not really defensively, because basically your Breath of Life isn't scaled off of spell penetration, only offensive stats. But this 5-piece here in light armor is a lot of damage. No max value, no max stats, no benefit to healing, but crit and a lot of penetration. Medium armor is a little different. So you have weapon critical, stamina recovery, sneak, but really it's the weapon damage increase. That's 12% with 2 points in here. And then also increase movement speed and reduce the cost of roll dodge. So you become a lot more mobile and a lot less resource dependent in medium and light armor for the reduced cost, and then obviously the increased movement speed, roll dodge, and weapon damage. So in my opinion, the light armor 5-piece is the best because the spell penetration is just so impactful in terms of damage. Don't believe me? Try it. It really is that good. Okay, so let's compare this then, stat for stat, and see what we look like in 5 pieces of light Fortified Brass, 5 pieces of Shacklebreaker. Okay, here's side by side. The light Fortified Brass setup on the left, and then the right, the heavy armor setup. Basically, the biggest difference here is in max stats, I have a lot less stamina. You can see that. I actually have more recovery on the right-hand side with the heavy armor setup, mainly because there is a magic recovery piece in the Shacklebreaker, but I have way more reduced cost in the light armor setup. And you can also see that this is an add-on that gives you detailed information. Spell penetration. This thing racks up your damage. And you can see on the left-hand side, the light armor setup with Fortified Brass, 14,000 spell pen in compared to 9,000. 4,000. Huge difference. Spell damage is a little higher on the heavy. That's because it has one of those pieces in there. But I'll take 4,000 more spell pen over that any day. Plus 10% more crit. And then the shocker. Spell resistance and physical resistance. All these stats are unbuffed. No spell power buff. No channel focus down. Nothing. 22,000. 17,000 versus 17,000 and 14,000. This made a tremendous difference in my survivability. So while these stats look good, I'm going to show you, I did go out and play it. And I tell you what, I felt way tankier. And I did more damage. First test up is going to be unbuffed, just puncturing sweeps, and just to see where we get on a max crit. So no buffs whatsoever, no entropy. I'm not light attacking, don't want to proc the weapon enchants and skew the results. And so basically what we're going to look here is simply the max stat here. So 1,300 on a crit was the highest puncturing sweeps, 3467 on my Balkan Scoria, and that is using 5 heavy armor. Next test up is the 5 light armor, 1 medium, and 1 heavy, running the Fortified Brass setup. And you can see in comparison, I did a 1305 with sweeps and heavy. This was 1386. My Balkan Scoria was 3467. This is 3800. The reason why Scoria is hitting so much harder is because the way it scales. Spell penetration, I'm telling you, is really powerful. And this light armor setup with almost 5,000 more resistance is hitting harder. So next test up, we want to see how hard it is I get hit. Now, channel focus isn't up the whole time, so we're going to go with the max value of his pierced armor, unbuffed, so the damage isn't so important. 2992, and this is using 5 heavy, 2 light. Shacklebreaker was the max pierced armor I got hit against. Let's see what the light does. Alright, so using 5 light, 1 medium, 1 heavy, getting pierced a million times. Max value was 2797 in light armor. Wow. Was I wrong about this set? It hits harder and I take less damage, though I do sacrifice a lot of max stamina, a lot of max stats. There is a downside to the set, and that essentially is the healing receive component. So Honor the Dead is the morph that I was using, and you can see the max value on a crit was 11,000 using the 5 heavy, because remember that 8% bonus. And we see in comparison the Honor Dead only crits for 10,000, which is still a lot, but that 8% hits us hard. However, there's ways to counter this. Essentially, on a Templar, instead of channel focus, you just use restoring, and you get 8% vitality. Boom. You don't need the resources as much because you have the reduced cost with the light armor. Problem solved. This set is fantastic. So once again, I had to eat my humble pie and admit that this set rocks, and I was completely wrong about it. But that's why I do these videos, and that's why I thank the community. I don't know everything, that's for sure. But together as a community, we can continue to make our builds progress, advance, and get better. And I think this is a really viable option. Is it the best option for every single build? No. I think a lot of blocking builds are going to want Constitution, so that way they can continue blocking and getting stamina back. However, being really tanky is very useful, especially like, let's say you put it on a medium build and then you can use shuffle and you still have all that mobility, like the old school playstyle I really like, and you're not forced into just one armor set. The game is at a really good spot, in my opinion, for certain things. Not everything, but the fact that like these builds are coming out with like really unique and different sets. It feels like Magic the Gathering. Like after 5 years, there's just so many cards, so many sets that you can combine it with and make really unique builds based on your play style. So my Magic Templar is going to be rocking this. I'm going to stream some PvP, and hopefully the build will be done soon. But I want to say thank you for letting me know how good this set is, and hopefully you can use this information and decide, is this best in slot for you?